The ocean has rules. At least, that's what marine biologists used to think. For centuries, the natural world was painted as a beautifully balanced ecosystem. Predators kept prey populations in check, creatures evolved to fit neatly into their ecological roles, and everything functioned like an underwater symphony. That was until we started to notice something odd. Some predators weren't playing by the rules. They weren't following migration routes, weren't sticking to their designated hunting grounds, and in some cases were outright invading territories like unhinged pirates. The ocean, it seemed, had its own collection of outlaws, fugitives, and renegade killers, creatures that have taken it upon themselves to break every law of the sea and get away with it. It's almost as if evolution whispered in their ears, "Hey, why not take over the world?" And they listened. Take, for instance, the bull shark. This isn't just a shark, it's an absolute menace, the biological equivalent of a criminal mastermind. While most sharks are bound to the salty embrace of the ocean, the bull shark casually shrugs and swims up rivers, terrorizing freshwater ecosystems that have never seen a shark before. It's been found in the Amazon, the Mississippi, and even 2,500 miles inland in the Alton, Illinois stretch of the Mississippi River, just casually ruining some fishermen's day. It's the only shark that could, theoretically, swim straight into a city, grab a coffee at Starbucks, and then disappear back into the depths. Bull sharks have a special ability, a high tolerance for both saltwater and freshwater, thanks to their kidneys and a unique physiological trick that lets them regulate their salt levels. This means that while other sharks are stuck in their usual ocean routines, bull sharks are expanding their criminal empire into rivers, lakes, and, who knows, maybe your backyard swimming pool. Then there's the orcas, which might just be the smartest, most organized gangsters in the ocean. For years, we admired them for their intelligence and hunting prowess. They had family structures, unique dialects, and passed down traditions like a bunch of seafaring scholars. But lately, orcas have been getting, let's say, rebellious. In Spain and Portugal, orcas have started a boat-sinking campaign, targeting yachts and deliberately breaking rudders, damaging hulls, and forcing sailors into distress calls. Scientists initially thought it was a mistake, but as more boats fell victim to the orca mafia, it became clear these orcas weren't playing. They were teaching each other new tactics, adapting their strategies, and most terrifyingly, passing these behaviors to younger generations. If this continues, we might soon witness the first recorded marine revolution, where orcas decide they've had enough of human nonsense and begin ruling the waves like an army of aquatic anarchists. But not all fugitives come in the form of massive, intelligent apex predators. Some are small, flashy, and devastatingly effective, like the lionfish, an invasive species straight out of a horror movie. Native to the Indo-Pacific, lionfish were never supposed to be in the Atlantic, but thanks to a few irresponsible aquarium releases, they've now spread like biological wildfire. The problem? Lionfish have no natural predators in their new environments. They reproduce at an insane rate, devour entire reefs, and have been known to wipe out over 90% of small reef fish populations in some areas. They're basically the oceanic version of an unchecked mob boss, growing in power while every other species struggles to survive. Their venomous spines make them untouchable, and their stomachs can expand up to 30 times their normal size, allowing them to eat almost anything that crosses their path. If you're looking for a villain that never should have existed, the lionfish is your guy. Of course, some criminals prefer to operate in the shadows. Enter the giant squid, the elusive deep-sea assassin that refuses to be understood. For centuries, it was the stuff of nautical legends, a mythical kraken that sailors swore could drag ships into the abyss. We now know it's real, but it still acts like a shadowy hitman of the deep. Unlike most deep-sea creatures that stick to their dark, crushing pressure homes, the giant squid has been venturing higher, even attacking boats and stealing fishermen's catches. Some scientists believe these ambushes are increasing due to climate change and shifting prey distributions, meaning we may see more of these tentacled nightmares rising from the abyss. And unlike other predators, the giant squid fights back. When caught on camera, it has been seen using its razor-sharp suckers and massive beak to attack whatever it wants, even sperm whales, its supposed main predator. It's a silent killer that doesn't just survive, it dominates. And let's not forget the saltwater crocodile, a prehistoric relic that refuses to retire. While other marine reptiles went extinct, the saltwater croc decided to stick around, and in doing so, became one of the most vicious, cold-blooded killers in history. Unlike sharks that need to keep moving, saltwater crocs can lurk in the shallows for hours, waiting for the perfect ambush moment. They don't just own the coastline, they also travel miles into the open ocean, sometimes ending up on entirely different islands after drifting with the currents. There are even stories of crocs attacking surfers miles offshore, treating the ocean like their personal buffet. They're not just survivors, they're rulers. Of course, not all ocean fugitives rely on brute strength. Some prefer to outthink their enemies, and no one does this better than the octopus. These cephalopods aren't just intelligent, they're criminal masterminds. Octopuses have been caught breaking into lobster traps, escaping from research labs, and even stealing from fishermen's boats. Some have learned to imitate other sea creatures to trick predators, while others use tools, rearrange their environment, and even memorize security camera positions in captivity. If there were ever a creature capable of plotting a full-blown oceanic heist, the octopus would be the ringleader. And just when you thought the ocean had enough chaos, enter the barracuda, an overpowered torpedo with teeth. Unlike sharks that carefully assess their targets, barracudas have a hair-trigger aggression response, meaning they'll attack anything that flashes. Fishermen have reported barracudas snatching fish straight off their lines, and some divers have had jewelry or shiny dive gear mistaken for prey, resulting in lightning-fast ambushes. Imagine a fish so fast, so reckless, that it doesn't even stop to think before launching itself teeth first at its next victim. That's the barracuda. So what does all of this mean? Simple. The ocean isn't the peaceful, structured ecosystem we once thought. It's a wild, unpredictable battleground, where some predators follow the rules and others completely rewrite them. Some species break boundaries, invade new territories, and adapt in ways that defy nature itself. Others operate in the shadows, striking when no one expects it. The ocean's most wanted list isn't just a collection of dangerous creatures. It's a warning that the sea is evolving in ways we never imagined. And if history has taught us anything, it's that the ones who break the rules are the ones who shape the future. So the next time you go for a swim, just remember, somewhere beneath the surface, a fugitive predator is rewriting the laws of the ocean. And it doesn't care if you're ready for it. If the ocean had a crime boss, a true renegade predator that refuses to play by the rules, it would be the bull shark. Imagine a great white, but with the personality of an unhinged outlaw, the adaptability of a cockroach, and the aggression of a boxer who just got punched in the face. That's the bull shark, a creature that has spent millions of years perfecting the art of chaos. It's the only shark that can survive in both saltwater and freshwater, meaning it doesn't just own the ocean, it's also a landlord in rivers, lakes, and pretty much any body of water deep enough to hide a crime scene.
If great white sharks are the calculated assassins of the deep, bull sharks are the bar-fighting thugs that will throw hands or fins, just for the fun of it.
They are hyper-aggressive, easily irritated, and responsible for more unprovoked shark attacks on humans than any other species. And the scariest part, they could be swimming in your local river right now. Sharks, as a general rule, stay in the ocean. But bull sharks heard that rule and said, "Nah, I think I'll take over the whole planet instead." Unlike their cousins, bull sharks have developed a unique physiological superpower. They can regulate the amount of salt in their bodies, allowing them to thrive in both marine and freshwater environments. Most sharks need salt to survive, as their bodies are adapted to retain it. If they were to enter fresh water, their internal salt levels would become diluted, and they'd essentially swell up and die like an oversoaked sponge. But bull sharks, they don't care. Their kidneys and special glands help them regulate salt concentration, meaning they can swim from the saltiest oceans to the most unsuspecting lakes without breaking a sweat. Because of this, they've been found thousands of miles inland, casually lurking in murky rivers, waiting for an opportunity to strike. In fact, in 1937, 2 fishermen caught a bull shark in the Mississippi River, 2,500 miles away from the ocean. Yes, you read that right. A full-grown shark was just chilling in Illinois, presumably thinking, this place could use more apex predators. If you had to design the perfect ambush predator, you'd probably end up with something that looks exactly like a bull shark. Unlike the sleek torpedo-shaped great white, bull sharks are stockier, more compact, and built like an underwater wrecking ball. Their short, muscular bodies allow them to maneuver in tight spaces, a skill that makes them particularly deadly in shallow waters. Where most sharks prefer the open ocean, bull sharks thrive in estuaries, mangroves, and riverbanks, places where visibility is low and their prey never sees them coming. Their dull grey coloration acts as the perfect camouflage, allowing them to blend seamlessly into the murky depths. By the time their victim realizes what's happening, it's already too late. And let's talk about their bite force. Pound for pound, bull sharks have the strongest bite of any shark species, stronger than even the great white or the tiger shark. Their powerful jaws are lined with razor-sharp serrated teeth, perfect for ripping through flesh, bone, and well, anything that gets in their way. People love to talk about great white shark attacks, but statistically speaking, bull sharks are responsible for more human attacks than any other species. Unlike great whites, who often bite humans out of mistaken identity, thinking they're seals, bull sharks attack with intent. They are territorial, aggressive, and have no problem throwing down with anything that enters their waters. One of the most infamous bull shark attack events happened in 1916 in New Jersey, when a single bull shark went on a killing spree that lasted 12 days. This rogue shark attacked multiple people along the Jersey shore, killing 4 and injuring 1. What made it even more terrifying? Some of the attacks happened in a freshwater creek, far from the ocean. This was one of the events that inspired Jaws, proving that sometimes real-life predators are even scarier than Hollywood's imagination. And if you think bull sharks only target humans by accident, think again. In some parts of the world, they've been known to deliberately stalk fishermen, attacking their boats and stealing their catches. Some reports even suggest that bull sharks have figured out how to ambush prey by herding them into confined spaces, cutting off all escape routes before going in for the kill. As if owning both the ocean and rivers wasn't enough, bull sharks have recently been spotted in unexpected places. Climate change and rising temperatures are forcing them to explore new territories, meaning that areas once considered safe from sharks might not be safe for much longer. Bull sharks have been seen swimming in Australian floodwaters, appearing in lakes thousands of miles from the coast, and even patrolling flooded streets in cities like Brisbane. That's right, there's actual footage of a bull shark casually cruising through a flooded neighborhood, probably looking for a house to rent indefinitely. And if that's not enough to terrify you, researchers have recently tagged bull sharks and tracked their movements, only to find that some have been lingering near human-populated areas for far longer than previously thought. These sharks aren't just passing through rivers and lakes, some are staying. So what does this mean for the future? Well, bull sharks aren't going anywhere. In fact, they're only getting more adaptable, aggressive, and widespread. Their ability to thrive in both salt and freshwater environments gives them a massive evolutionary advantage, allowing them to outcompete other species and expand their hunting grounds. If trends continue, we might start seeing bull sharks appearing in lakes and rivers more frequently, forcing humans to rethink what shark-infested waters really means. Once upon a time, we thought sharks belonged in the deep ocean, far from where we live. But now, they could be closer than we ever imagined. So the next time you take a dip in a lake or a river, just remember, the bull shark doesn't care about your expectations. It doesn't care that it's supposed to stay in the ocean, because bull sharks make their own rules. And that's exactly what makes them one of the ocean's most wanted fugitives. For centuries, orcas have been painted as the intellectuals of the sea, the brilliant marine strategists that operate with military precision. They have their own dialects, their own hunting techniques, and even family traditions that get passed down through generations like a criminal empire, teaching the next generation the art of the con. But lately, something strange has been happening in the orca world. These once predictable, rule-abiding predators have begun rebelling against their own traditions, against the natural order, and most disturbingly, against humans. Welcome to the killer whale mutiny, a revolution happening right now in our oceans. Orcas have always been smart, but now they're getting creative. Let's start with the basic truth. Orcas have always been terrifyingly intelligent. They're the only ocean predators that operate like organized crime families, each pod developing its own distinct hunting culture. Some pods specialize in chasing down seals and flipping them into the air like a game of volleyball. Others have perfected the art of coordinated wave attacks, where they work together to generate massive waves to knock unsuspecting seals off ice floes. And some, particularly in New Zealand, have figured out how to drown great white sharks just to eat their livers, because apparently orcas are sophisticated enough to have favorite parts of their meals. But something has shifted in the past decade. Some orcas have decided that playing by the rules is boring. Instead of simply hunting prey, they've begun interfering with human activities in ways that feel calculated. And by calculated, I mean straight up diabolical. If you own a yacht and plan to sail off the coasts of Spain or Portugal, you might want to think twice. Because there's a rogue orca gang out there, and they are sinking boats for sport. This isn't some fluke accident. It started in 2020, when a small group of orcas began ramming the rudders of yachts, disabling them in the open sea. At first, marine biologists thought it was a one-time incident. Maybe an orca just got confused, Or maybe it was playing. But then it kept happening. More boats were targeted. More rudders were destroyed. In some cases, orcas even worked together to flip boats over completely, leaving sailors stranded and terrified. The behavior has now spread to multiple pods, and researchers have confirmed that these orcas are teaching each other how to disable boats. That's right. This isn't random aggression. It's organized sabotage. Even creepier. This entire movement may have started with one single individual. And orca researchers have named White Gladys. The theory: White Gladys may have had a bad experience with a boat. Maybe she was struck, or maybe she just decided that boats were annoying. Whatever happened, she seems to have declared a personal vendetta against human seafarers. And now her behavior is spreading. As if deliberately sinking yachts wasn't enough, let's talk about the time orcas decided to start executing great white sharks. Because, you know, just being the ocean's most intelligent predator wasn't enough of a flex. For decades, great white sharks were considered the kings of the ocean. Sure, they weren't as smart as orcas, but they were massive, powerful, and apex predators in their own right. Then in 2017, something strange started happening off the coast of South Africa. Great white sharks began disappearing. At first, scientists weren't sure what was going on, until a few great white carcasses washed up on shore with one very specific injury: surgically removed livers. It looked almost too precise to be an accident, as if someone had gone in with a scalpel and taken just the best part. And that's exactly what happened. A pair of rogue orcas named Port and Starboard had figured out how to flip great white sharks onto their backs, inducing a state called tonic immobility, which temporarily paralyzes the shark. Once flipped, the great whites were completely helpless, allowing the orcas to dismantle them like mechanics stripping a car for parts. The shark's livers, rich in energy-packed oils, were the only things the orcas wanted, and the rest of the shark left to rot. Even more terrifying, after a few of these shark assassinations, other great whites started fleeing the area entirely. That's right, sharks, literal apex predators, were running for their lives the moment they sensed an orca nearby. If orcas were just highly intelligent killers, that would be one thing. But their intelligence comes with something far more disturbing. They seem to enjoy their power. In multiple cases, researchers have witnessed orcas hunting prey in ways that seem purely for fun. In Argentina, orcas have been seen launching themselves onto beaches to grab sea lion pups, only to toss them around like rag dolls before eating them. In some cases, they even let the pups escape, only to chase them down again like an underwater game of cat and mouse. Then there's the infamous seal skydiving game, where orcas in Canada have been caught on camera hurling seals 80 feet into the air, sometimes just for sport. Scientists aren't sure if this behavior serves any purpose other than pure entertainment, but one thing is clear: orcas don't just hunt to survive. They hunt to dominate. So, what's happening? It's clear that orcas are changing. They're breaking rules, adapting to new hunting strategies, and in some cases, actively fighting back against human interference. But why now? One theory suggests that human activity is playing a role. Overfishing, noise pollution, and habitat destruction may be forcing orcas to adapt in unexpected ways. Some populations may be struggling for food, leading them to target new prey, like great white sharks. Others, like the rogue orcas off Spain and Portugal, may have had negative experiences with boats, leading to their yacht-sinking rebellion. But there's another possibility. Orcas are simply getting smarter. Think about it. Intelligence evolves. The more challenges a species faces, the more it learns. If some orcas have figured out how to sabotage human boats, terrorize sharks, and create new hunting techniques, what's stopping them from continuing to evolve? If they keep this up, it's not unreasonable to imagine a future where orcas become even more dominant, where they begin actively reshaping the ocean's hierarchy in ways we can't even predict. For now, one thing is certain. Orcas are done playing by the rules. And if you ever find yourself sailing through orca territory, just hope that White Gladys and her gang haven't put your boat on their hit list. The silent assassin. Giant squid's deep-sea ambushes. The deep sea has always been a place of nightmares, a cold, dark abyss filled with creatures that defy logic and biological reason. But among all the horrors lurking in the black void, one stands above the rest: the giant squid. For centuries, sailors whispered about a monstrous beast with tentacles long enough to crush a ship, eyes the size of dinner plates, and a beak sharp enough to cut through steel. They called it the Kraken, a legendary leviathan capable of dragging entire vessels to their doom. But here's the twist. The Kraken was real all along. The giant squid exists, And while it may not be in the business of sinking ships, it absolutely lives up to its terrifying reputation. Growing up to 43 feet long with tentacles covered in suction cups lined with razor-sharp hooks, the giant squid is an alien horror straight out of a Lovecraftian nightmare. And unlike most deep-sea creatures that stay hidden in the abyss, the giant squid is starting to venture into shallower waters, bringing it dangerously close to human encounters. Most sea creatures follow a predictable hunting style: ambush, chase, or trap. But the giant squid, it does things differently. Instead of relying on speed or brute force, it operates with pure terror tactics. This 8-armed assassin has the largest eyes in the animal kingdom, measuring up to a foot in diameter, designed to spot the faintest movement in the darkness of the deep. Once it locks onto its prey, it strikes with lightning speed, latching onto its victim with tentacles that function like industrial-grade grappling hooks. Each suction cup is lined with toothed edges, creating a grip so strong that even sperm whales, their main predators, struggle to break free. And here's the creepy part: they don't kill quickly. Instead of delivering a fatal bite right away, giant squid prefer to constrict, pull, and slowly tear their prey apart, like a deep-sea python mixed with an underwater horror movie villain. Attacks on humans, maybe more than we think. For the longest time, scientists thought giant squid were too deep-dwelling to ever interact with humans. But recent footage suggests otherwise. Fishermen and divers in Japan, Mexico, and even the US have reported giant squid grabbing onto boats, attacking fishers, and even wrapping their tentacles around divers. Some mysterious disappearances at sea have even been theorized to be the work of giant squid, especially in areas where nothing else could have possibly dragged someone under. And then there's the giant squid versus submarine incident, a story straight out of science fiction. In 2003, a nuclear submarine reportedly had a high-speed collision with an unknown object deep underwater. When the sub surfaced, the hull was found covered in massive sucker marks, as if something had tried to latch on and drag it into the abyss. Could the Kraken be real after all? Perhaps the scariest thing about giant squid isn't their size, strength, or hunting method. It's the fact that they're showing up in places they shouldn't be. Warmer waters caused by climate change may be forcing them closer to the surface, increasing the chance of more human encounters. For now, giant squid remain one of the ocean's greatest mysteries, a real-life monster that science still can't fully explain. But one thing is certain: if you ever see a massive coiling shadow in the water, with tentacles reaching out from the deep, you might be looking at something that was never meant to be seen. Lionfish, the invasive gangsters taking over. The ocean has its fair share of villains: sharks with razor-sharp teeth, orcas that sink yachts, and squid that attack submarines. But sometimes, the most dangerous invaders aren't massive, terrifying monsters. Sometimes they're small, elegant, and deceptively beautiful, like the lionfish. Don't let the flowing, delicate fins fool you. The lionfish is the ocean's equivalent of an unstoppable mob boss, an invasive species so ruthless and destructive that entire ecosystems are collapsing under its reign. It doesn't belong in the Atlantic, yet it's taking over at a speed that has scientists in a full-blown panic. And the worst part? Nothing can stop it. The lionfish originally comes from the Indo-Pacific, where it plays by the rules. There, it has natural predators that keep its population in check. But thanks to a few careless aquarium owners in the 1980s, some lionfish were released into the Atlantic, and that's when everything went horribly, horribly wrong. Without any predators to control them, lionfish populations exploded. They spread like an unstoppable plague, invading the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the east coast of the United States. Scientists estimate that in some areas, lionfish have reduced native fish populations by 90%. That's right, these little fancy-looking fish are basically wiping entire ecosystems off the map. Why are they so unstoppable? The lionfish isn't just invasive, it's a biological nightmare. First, it's immune to almost everything. Its body is covered in venomous spines that make it nearly untouchable. Any predator that dares to take a bite gets a dose of excruciating neurotoxin, which can cause paralysis, seizures, and in some cases death. Second, it eats like an absolute glutton. Most fish eat what they need to survive, not lionfish. They have stomachs that can expand up to 30 times their normal size, allowing them to consume entire schools of fish in a single sitting. They're so relentless that they've been found with over 70 prey animals inside them at once, like a vacuum cleaner that never stops sucking up everything in sight. Third, they reproduce at an insane rate. A single female lionfish can lay up to 2 million eggs per year, which means even if you remove one, there are thousands more to take its place. It's like trying to stop an army of cockroaches, except these cockroaches are venomous, breed faster than rabbits, and eat everything in sight. The destruction of coral reefs. One of the worst things about lionfish? They're murdering coral reefs. Reefs are already under attack from climate change, pollution, and overfishing. But lionfish make things even worse by eating the fish that keep reefs healthy. Parrotfish and other reef-cleaning species are disappearing, leaving corals covered in algae and disease. In some areas, scientists have noticed that where lionfish populations explode, coral reefs collapse. And once a reef dies, it's nearly impossible to bring it back. Fighting back, the war on lionfish. Since nature has no answer to this invasion, humans have had to step in. But how do you stop a biological war machine? The answer? Eat them. That's right. Lionfish may be an unstoppable predator, but they're also delicious. Some conservation groups have launched lionfish hunting tournaments, where divers are encouraged to spear as many as possible. Restaurants have even started putting lionfish on the menu, turning them into ceviche, tacos, and sushi. The logic is simple. If we can't kill them with predators, we'll eat them into submission. But is it working? Not really. Lionfish reproduce too fast, spread too quickly, and hide too well. Even with divers hunting them daily, they're still outbreeding the efforts to control them. If nothing changes, some scientists predict that lionfish could permanently alter the Atlantic ecosystem. Native fish populations may never recover, coral reefs could vanish, and the balance of marine life could be thrown into complete chaos. For now, lionfish remain one of the most dangerous fugitives of the ocean. Not because they attack humans, but because they're slowly taking over an entire ocean. And unless something drastic happens, the Atlantic might soon belong to the lionfish mafia. The serial killers, great white sharks that break the patterns. For decades, great white sharks have held the title of the ocean's most feared predator. They're the stars of horror movies, the subject of nightmares, and the reason some people refuse to swim in the ocean. But despite their terrifying reputation, great whites have always been somewhat predictable. They follow seasonal migration routes, hunt seals in well-known locations, and rarely deviate from their ancient, time-tested strategies. At least, that's how it used to be. Something strange is happening with great white sharks. They're changing their behavior, hunting in unexpected places, teaming up in ways they never did before, and in some cases, even vanishing without explanation. It's almost as if some great whites have decided to break the rules of their own species, turning into rogue killers that don't follow any pattern at all, and that makes them even more terrifying than ever before. The Vanishing Act. Where did the great whites go? For years, South Africa's coastline was home to one of the world's largest great white populations. Places like False Bay were famous for their shark-infested waters, where tourists could watch great whites breach the surface, launching themselves into the air while hunting seals. It was a reliable spectacle, until suddenly the sharks disappeared. In just a few years, South Africa's great white population dropped dramatically, and scientists had no idea why. Some theories suggested overfishing or climate change, but then the real culprit was discovered. Orcas had started hunting great whites. A pair of rogue orcas, nicknamed Port and Starboard, were found systematically killing great whites, targeting their livers with surgical precision. The moment these killer whales arrived, great whites vanished from the area. Some sharks were tracked on satellite tags, showing them fleeing hundreds of miles away within hours. Think about that. A species that's ruled the ocean for millions of years was so terrified, they literally abandoned their entire hunting ground overnight. But here's where it gets weird. Some great whites didn't just relocate. They started changing their hunting strategies, appearing in unusual locations, and even hunting in ways never seen before. The strange case of Guadalupe's super predators. In Guadalupe Island, Mexico, something bizarre has been happening. Great white sharks have always migrated here to feed on elephant seals, but researchers started noticing something unusual. Some sharks weren't just hunting individually, they were hunting in groups. For most of history, great whites have been solitary hunters. Unlike orcas, which use teamwork, white sharks have always relied on their own power, speed, and ambush tactics. But now, cameras have captured footage of great whites coordinating attacks, surrounding prey from different angles, and even appearing to let younger sharks feed first, as if learning from more experienced killers. This kind of pack hunting behavior is unheard of in great whites, and it raises a chilling question. What if these sharks are getting smarter? The rise of the urban great white. Historically, great whites have stuck to wild, unpopulated coastlines where seal colonies thrive. But in recent years, more and more great whites have been spotted near major cities, places they were rarely seen before. In California, juvenile great whites have started hunting in areas filled with swimmers and surfers, completely ignoring the usual seal colonies. They're showing up in shallower water, where they previously wouldn't go. In some cases, they seem unbothered by boats, humans, or even urban noise pollution. This raises a disturbing possibility. Are great whites adapting to human activity? Could they be learning to tolerate people, changing their hunting grounds, and even figuring out that humans won't fight back? It's already happening with other apex predators. Mountain lions have been spotted hunting inside suburbs. Wolves have started stalking roadsides to ambush prey. And now, maybe, great whites are realizing that humans aren't the threat we used to be. The shark with a taste for humans? Most shark attacks on humans happen because of mistaken identity. Surfers get mistaken for seals, swimmers splash in a way that attracts attention, and the shark takes a test bite before realizing we're not their usual food. But what happens when a shark doesn't spit you out? There have been rare but chilling cases where great whites seem to deliberately hunt humans, refusing to leave after a single bite. Some scientists believe that certain rogue individuals may develop a preference for human flesh, much like how some big cats in the wild become man-eaters. One case involved a shark that attacked multiple people in the same stretch of coastline over several weeks, something completely unheard of for great whites. Was it the same shark? Was it stalking its territory like a land predator? Nobody knows for sure, but if a single great white figures out that humans are easy prey, there's nothing stopping others from learning the same thing. The future of the ocean's most famous predator? Great white sharks have survived mass extinctions, climate changes, and even the rise of modern humans. But now, they're facing new challenges, from killer whales hunting them down to humans disrupting their ecosystems. But instead of disappearing, some great whites are adapting. They're changing their hunting strategies, moving into new, unexpected waters, and most terrifyingly, some may even be getting smarter. For centuries, we thought we understood great white sharks. We thought they were predictable, but now they're breaking the rules, and in the future, they might become something even deadlier than before. Crocodile mafia, saltwater crocs that rule both land and sea. The ocean has plenty of terrifying predators, but none are as old-school gangster as the saltwater crocodile. While sharks and orcas have evolved fancy tricks and hunting strategies, the saltwater croc has stuck to one simple motto: bite first, ask questions never. This is a creature that hasn't changed much in over 200 million years, because it didn't need to. It was already a perfect killing machine. With bulletproof scales, bone-crushing jaws, and the patience of a cold-blooded assassin, the saltwater croc isn't just an apex predator, it's an apex survivor. It's also one of the few creatures on Earth that sees humans as a regular food source. Unlike sharks, which mostly bite humans by mistake, saltwater crocs know exactly what they're doing. If you step into their territory, you're not leaving. Saltwater crocodiles, also known as salties, aren't just the biggest crocodiles on the planet. They're also the most aggressive. Males can grow over 20 feet long and weigh more than a ton, making them larger than some small boats. But what makes them truly terrifying isn't their size, it's the way they hunt. Saltwater crocs are masters of patience. They'll sit completely still in the water, looking like a floating log, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Then, in less than a second, they launch themselves forward with explosive speed, grab their victim in their jaws, and drag them underwater in a death roll. The death roll is one of the most brutal attack methods in nature. Since crocodiles don't have sharp slicing teeth like sharks, they kill by grabbing hold and spinning violently, tearing off chunks of flesh in the process. They'll even store their prey underwater for days, letting it rot to make it easier to eat. If you thought sharks were terrifying, just remember, a shark at least has the decency to kill you quickly. Land? Ocean? Saltwater crocs don't care. Unlike most marine predators, which stick to either land or sea, saltwater crocs are comfortable in both. They can spend months at sea, drifting with ocean currents like prehistoric rafts, sometimes traveling hundreds of miles to find new hunting grounds. They've been spotted as far as 600 miles from land, just casually floating in the open ocean, probably thinking this entire planet belongs to me. And yet, as soon as they reach land, they immediately become the apex predator there too. They've been known to charge at humans on beaches, attack animals drinking from riverbanks, and even chase people up trees, as if to say, You thought you were safe. Think again. Why do they attack humans so often? While most predators avoid humans, saltwater crocs actively hunt them. In places like northern Australia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, attacks are common and survival rates are low. Unlike sharks, which often release humans after a bite, a croc attack is usually a one-way trip. One of the worst cases happened in World War II, when a group of Japanese soldiers retreated into the mangrove swamps of Ramree Island, which just so happened to be filled with thousands of hungry saltwater crocs. What followed was one of the deadliest animal attacks in history. Soldiers reported blood-curdling screams through the night, and by morning only a handful of men had survived. The rest? Devoured. Today, saltwater crocs still kill hundreds of people every year, making them one of the deadliest animals to humans, far deadlier than sharks. The croc that fought a shark, and won. In 2014, a massive 18-foot saltwater crocodile named Brutus was spotted in Australia's Adelaide River, dragging a fully grown bull shark in its jaws. The shark had apparently strayed too close, and Brutus, being the ruthless gangster that he was, decided it was his lunch now. This was a rare but powerful reminder that in a fight between a shark and a croc, the croc often comes out on top. Why? Because while sharks rely on speed and ambush, crocs rely on pure raw power and an unbreakable grip. When a croc bites, it doesn't let go. Can anything stop them? No, saltwater crocs are one of the few creatures on Earth that have no natural predators. They can live up to 100 years, outlasting almost every other animal in their ecosystem. They've survived ice ages, mass extinctions, and even humans who have tried and failed to wipe them out in some regions. If anything, saltwater crocs are only getting stronger. Warmer temperatures are making them grow bigger, and their populations are thriving despite human expansion. They are quite literally unstoppable. While sharks, orcas, and giant squid all have their own deadly skills, saltwater crocs are in a league of their own. They don't just rule the water, they own the land too. They can go anywhere, eat anything, and wait as long as it takes to kill their prey. They are the oldest, most ruthless predators alive today. And if you ever see two unblinking eyes just above the water's surface, it's already too late. Barracuda blitz, the speed freaks that attack without warning. If sharks are the calculated assassins of the ocean and saltwater crocs are the old-school gangsters, then the barracuda is the unhinged speed freak, the kind of predator that doesn't think before it strikes, doesn't care what it bites, and can appear out of nowhere at terrifying speeds. This is a fish that hunts like a torpedo, bites like a chainsaw, and disappears before you even realize what just happened. It doesn't stalk its prey like a great white or set up an ambush like a crocodile. No, it just launches itself forward, mouth open, and lets physics do the rest. And sometimes humans get in the way. A living missile with teeth. The great barracuda is a 6-foot-long, silver-colored missile with a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth and an attitude problem. Unlike most predators that lurk, plan, or stalk their prey, the barracuda operates purely on impulse. It sees movement, any movement, and its brain just says, chomp. This is a fish that can hit speeds of 35 miles per hour, meaning that when it decides to bite, you're not avoiding it. Its elongated body is designed like a torpedo, allowing it to cut through the water with almost no resistance. And once it locks onto a target, it launches forward with an explosive burst of speed, jaws wide open, often biting before its brain even has time to process what it just attacked. Scientists believe that barracudas attack first and think later because of how their eyes work. Unlike sharks, which rely heavily on smell, barracudas hunt almost entirely by sight. They're attracted to quick, flashy movements, which is why swimmers, divers, and even shiny jewelry have led to terrifying encounters. That's right. If you're wearing a silver necklace or a sparkly dive watch, a barracuda might mistake you for a fish and come flying at you like a missile with teeth. Attack stories when barracudas get too close. While barracuda attacks on humans aren't as common as shark attacks, they're often far more dramatic. Unlike sharks, which typically take a test bite and swim away, barracudas hit at full speed, leaving deep, surgical wounds that look like they came from a straight razor. One of the most terrifying barracuda attacks happened in 1960, when a US Navy diver in Key West, Florida, was swimming with a dive knife strapped to his leg. The knife had a shiny silver blade which, unfortunately, looked exactly like a small fish in distress. Within seconds, a barracuda exploded out of nowhere, biting deep into the diver's leg and ripping out a chunk of flesh before anyone even saw it coming. The diver survived, but the attack was so fast and precise that it left a perfectly clean bite wound, as if someone had cut him with a scalpel. Another incident occurred in the Bahamas, where a tourist was snorkeling with a GoPro. The reflective surface of the camera caught the sunlight, and before anyone knew what was happening, a barracuda launched itself at his face. Luckily, the barracuda bit the camera instead, shattering it with a single crunch, but the tourist barely made it out without injury. The message? If you're in barracuda territory, leave your bling at home. Most predators have curved, serrated teeth designed for slicing. But barracudas, they have something far worse. Their upper and lower jaws are filled with two different types of teeth, long, needle-like fangs that interlock like a bear trap, designed for piercing through fish with no escape. Short, knife-like teeth near the back of the jaw, designed to slice prey clean in half. And they don't chew. Barracudas hunt with such force that they often bite straight through their prey, severing fish in two with a single snap. In fact, it's not uncommon for divers to see half a fish floating in the water, the unfortunate result of a barracuda strike that left nothing but the head still blinking in confusion. When barracudas steal from sharks, you'd think barracudas would be afraid of larger predators, but instead, they frequently steal food from sharks. In some areas, barracudas follow sharks around, waiting for them to take down a large fish. The moment the shark makes a kill, the barracuda rushes in at lightning speed, snatches a chunk of meat, and is gone before the shark can react. It's like an underwater dine and dash, except the thief has razor blades for teeth and zero fear of the consequences. Can anything outrun a barracuda? Very few things in the ocean can match the raw speed of a barracuda. But there's one natural enemy that sometimes puts them in their place: the giant grouper. Despite being slow and bulky, giant groupers have a trick up their sleeve: ambush tactics. They wait perfectly still, blending into their environment, and the moment a barracuda gets too close, they swallow it whole in a split second. It's a rare sight, but when it happens, it's game over for the barracuda. One moment it's a speed demon slicing through the water, the next it's getting sucked into the abyss like a vacuum cleaner snack. The future of barracudas: more encounters with humans? As climate change and rising ocean temperatures force marine species to shift their ranges, barracudas are starting to show up in places they never used to. Warmer waters mean larger populations, and more barracudas venturing into shallower areas where humans swim. While they're not out to get us, their attack first, think later mentality means that more swimmers, divers, and fishermen are likely to get unexpected visits from these underwater missiles. So if you ever find yourself in tropical waters and notice a long silver shadow hovering nearby, just remember, if it looks at you, it's already thinking about attacking. And when a barracuda decides to strike, there's no escape. The ultimate heist: the octopuses that outsmart everyone. If the ocean had a master thief, a true criminal genius that could pick locks, escape from any trap, and vanish without a trace, it wouldn't be a shark or an orca or even a croc. It would be the octopus, the 8-armed, shape-shifting, IQ-flexing escape artist that breaks more rules than any other predator in the sea. Octopuses don't just survive in the ocean. They manipulate it. They don't just hunt, they outthink their prey. And sometimes, they don't just live in the sea, they escape from it entirely. Most predators rely on speed, strength, or venom. But octopuses, they win by being smarter than everything else. Their entire body is built for crime. They have no bones, meaning they can squeeze through holes the size of a coin. Color-changing skin, allowing them to turn invisible in plain sight. Suction cup-covered arms, each of which can act independently, like having 8 brains in one body. A beak that can bite through solid shells, because why stop at sneaky when you can also be terrifying? Oh, and their main brain, it's on a level that's frankly ridiculous. Octopuses can solve puzzles, recognize human faces, use tools, and even plan ahead, which, if we're being honest, is more than some people can do. Scientists have tested octopuses in maze experiments, and they learn faster than rats. They can unscrew lids, unlock cages, and even use coconuts as armor. If they had fingers, they'd probably be cracking safes and robbing banks by now. And they don't just use tools, they steal them. Octopuses are notorious for escaping aquariums, sneaking into fishing traps, and stealing from humans, all with a level of precision that suggests they know exactly what they're doing. Take the case of Inky the octopus, an octopus that pulled off one of the greatest escapes in marine history. Inky lived in the National Aquarium of New Zealand, in what was considered a perfectly secure tank. But one night, when no one was watching, he made his move. Step 1. He slipped out of his enclosure. Since he had no bones, he he squeezed through a tiny gap at the top of the tank. Step 2, he crawled across the floor undetected. That's right. Octopuses can survive outside of water for minutes at a time, which meant he could literally walk across the floor like some kind of slimy ninja. Step 3, he found a drain pipe and took it. This pipe just happened to lead straight back to the ocean. Inky squeezed inside and slid his way back to freedom, never to be seen again. Let's be clear, this wasn't an accident. Inky knew exactly where he was going. He planned it. He waited for the perfect opportunity, and then he executed his escape like a criminal mastermind. It's not just escaping that octopuses are good at. They're also expert thieves. In some fishing communities, octopuses have been caught breaking into lobster traps. Instead of waiting for fishermen to pull them up, these crafty cephalopods slip inside, eat the lobsters, and then escape before anyone notices. Fishermen in Italy have reported octopuses swimming into boats at night, grabbing fish, and then bailing out before getting caught, essentially pulling off midnight seafood heists like tiny, wet burglars. And in Japan, one octopus was filmed unscrewing a jar to get food inside, a level of problem solving that suggests if they ever figure out how to open refrigerators, we're doomed. You'd think all of this intelligence would make octopuses serious and calculating, but nope. They also love to mess with people. Some octopuses have been seen punching fish for no reason. That's right, not for food, not for defense, just because they feel like it. Scientists have recorded octopuses randomly whacking fish across the face while hunting, as if to say, I'm in charge here. In aquariums, some octopuses have been caught deliberately short-circuiting lights by squirting jets of water at electrical equipment. One even figured out how to flood an entire exhibit, as if to remind the humans that they were never actually in control. Could octopuses take over the ocean? Right now, octopuses are limited by their short lifespans. Most live only a few years, meaning they don't get enough time to pass down their knowledge the way orcas or sharks do. But what if that changed? Some scientists believe that octopuses are already becoming more dominant in the ocean. Overfishing has removed some of their predators, and they're expanding into new habitats faster than ever. Climate change doesn't seem to bother them. Human activity, they just adapt and outsmart us. There's even speculation that if octopuses ever evolve to live longer, they could become the next dominant intelligence in the ocean, maybe even rivals to humans in terms of problem solving and tool use. For now, they remain the ultimate escape artists, pranksters, and thieves of the deep. But if you ever find yourself staring at an octopus in an aquarium, just know that it's probably figuring out how to escape, or worse, how to rob you blind before it does. What happens when the rules no longer apply? The ocean has always been a world of balance, a place where apex predators rule, prey adapts, and everything fits into an unspoken natural order. But what happens when some creatures stop following the rules? When predators become smarter, deadlier, and more unpredictable? When the most dangerous fugitives in the sea refuse to stay in their lanes? We're seeing it happen right now. Sharks are changing their hunting strategies, learning to stalk new territories and, maybe, even developing a taste for humans. Orcas are sinking boats, turning the ocean into their personal battleground. Bull sharks are invading rivers and lakes, making it impossible to predict where a shark attack might happen next. Giant squid are rising from the deep, attacking fishing vessels, and making scientists wonder if the Kraken legends weren't legends at all. And then there's the wild card, the one species that doesn't rely on brute force, but intelligence. The one that has already figured out how to pick locks, dismantle traps, and outthink human technology. The octopus. For the longest time, humans thought they were in control of the ocean. We built boats, mapped migration patterns, and overfished entire species into near extinction. We believed we were the dominant force, the rulers of the seas. But one by one, the ocean's deadliest fugitives are proving us wrong. Great white sharks were once thought to be the ocean's apex predator, until orcas started hunting them down like helpless prey. Bull sharks were supposed to stay in the ocean, until they started showing up thousands of miles inland, proving that not even rivers are safe. Lionfish should have been confined to the Indo-Pacific, but now they're spreading like a disease, consuming everything in their path. Barracudas were supposed to fear larger predators, but instead, they're stealing food from sharks and attacking humans for their shiny watches. Saltwater crocs should stay near shorelines, yet some are found floating hundreds of miles into the open sea, looking for their next takeover. And then, of course, there's the ultimate wild card, the octopus, which doesn't just break the rules, it rewrites them. What happens if octopuses start passing down knowledge between generations? What if their intelligence is already increasing faster than we realize? Some scientists believe they already have their own form of culture, that their ability to learn, solve problems, and manipulate their environment is evolving faster than any other species in the ocean. So what does that mean for the future? The final twist. Is this just the beginning? We like to think we're at the top of the food chain, that the ocean is just a place for us to fish, swim, and explore without consequence. But what if that's already changing? What if these rogue predators are just the first wave of a larger shift? What if orcas sinking boats is only the start of a new kind of marine rebellion? What if sharks evolve smarter hunting techniques and stop fearing humans altogether? What if octopuses begin working together, planning and adapting faster than we can track? There's a reason why the most dangerous apex predators of the ocean aren't just surviving, they're thriving. The great white is learning new ways to hunt. The orca is taking over. The bull shark is expanding its empire. The lionfish is invading every ecosystem. The giant squid is rising from the abyss. The saltwater crocodile is outliving everything. The barracuda is attacking without warning. The octopus is outsmarting them all. And for the first time in history, we might not be the ones in control anymore. Because if these oceanic fugitives keep evolving, keep breaking the rules, keep rewriting the balance of the sea, then one day, we won't be the top predator anymore. We'll be the prey.